Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank each of you for being here today. And, you know, it's an important hearing for us to have. When I talk to Tennesseans, they are very concerned about voting rights legislation. They are very concerned about a civil rights division that is going to overreach under current laws. And of course, they want everyone eligible to vote. Indeed, our nation has seen historic turnout in voting. But, you know, the Department of Justice has incredible resources to investigate governments, local and state governments, over voting rights. And many times, the states or the locality do not have the money to fight back, even when they're on the right side of the law. So, Ms. Clarke, let me continue along this line of questioning, because the Civil Rights Division is charged with enforcing voting laws, and I'm concerned with your past statements that it could prevent you from doing your job effectively. You've been an outspoken critic of voter ID laws. You've said that photo ID requirements are, and I'm quoting you, burdensome. Proof of citizenship requirements are and I'm quoting, bag of tricks to suppress black votes. Is that correct?
Thank you, Senator. I believe that we have to look at these laws on a case-by-case basis. A photo ID law in one state may be perfectly fine, but may have an impact in another state on protected groups, on older people, on people of color. So I think that it's important to look at these on a case-by-case basis.
So do you think that it's fair then for individuals to be required to show their photo ID to get a prescription at the pharmacy?
Yes. And
you think that is unfair?
I don't think it's unfair, but I do think that when it comes
All right, let me move on. You've asserted that the cost of voter ID laws outweigh any benefits. Is that true that you tweeted that, and I'm quoting, vote fraud is a myth and a lie?
Vote fraud is something that is exceedingly rare. We don't see it often. And if it exists, and if there are reports...
We know that it does. We know that it does.
I will, if confirmed, refer those matters to the criminal division so that they can handle those matters.
Okay. Tennessee has a voter ID law, and we are really just so grateful for the work that our state and our Department of State has done to lead local and state entities as we have reformed elections, we have cleaned up voter rolls, required ID to vote, and restored accountability. Despite this progress, Democrats want to crush local governments to push through their own impractical agenda, which will undermine trust in the electoral process. And I'm convinced you will be the lead warrior in that liberal agenda to destroy local election integrity. And I fear you will use your power at the Civil Rights Division to take away states' rights, their constitutional duty, and federalize control of elections. Let me ask you about the First Amendment. I've been listening in my office to your comments on the First Amendment. You called, and this is particularly pointed toward religious liberty, you called the Masterpiece Cake Shop decision devastating and stated that religion is often used as a pretext to ignore regulations during the COVID-19 pandemic. After the Supreme Court blocked New York's COVID restrictions on houses of worship, you tweeted, "This is a newly configured Supreme Court with justices who place religious freedom above all else, even in the context of a deadly pandemic." So is it true that you even called the religious liberty organization Alliance Defending Freedom an anti-LGBTQ hate group?
Senator, if I could just respond to the first point that you raised, I view voting rights issues in a nonpartisan sense. And I thank you for being one of the 390 people who voted to reauthorize Section 5 in 2006. As to your second point, please note that I deem religious liberty incredibly important, and I have fought for religious liberty throughout my career. I have fought religious discrimination. I led a religious rights unit, a newly launched religious rights unit at the New York State Attorney General's office, and if confirmed, I will give great attention to ensuring that we stand up for religious liberty and beat back religious discrimination using the laws that the division has at its disposal.
Ms. Clarke, you didn't answer the question. Did you state, did you call the Alliance Defending Freedom an anti-LGBTQ hate group? Yes or no?
I don't recall that statement. I'd like to confirm, Senator. That's not an organization I'm very familiar with. I'd love to see the context.
If you would like to, I think it was in a tweet, and we'll be happy to supply that for you.
Thank you, Senator.
So that you can see it. But see, here's the thing. Religion is important. Religious liberty and freedom and the First Amendment is vitally important. And with the tweets that you have made, with the statements that you have made that are very vitriolic toward that First Amendment, it causes me to question if you could be fair and impartial and apply the law as written and defend these rights and freedoms that are so vitally important. And right now, I hear from Tennesseans every day who are filled with angst because they fear that their freedoms are going to be taken away. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.